We recently had the Disney earnings report, blah, blah, blah. And they said, hey, look, we're purchasing this thing and we're purchasing this thing. We're making a big deal for WWE, making a big deal with ESPN to basically buy all of the NFL networks, all that stuff. But of course, it all has to come back to how these movies are doing in theaters. And guess what? Bob Iger is extremely happy with the launch of Fantastic Four, despite the fact that it's a disappointment, despite the fact that it will probably lose money. What are they saying right now because the movie's still in theaters? We have successfully launched this important franchise into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, we heard similar things during the last quarter of the earnings report when Thunderbolts was in theaters, but it didn't actually apply to that quarter yet. Well, it looks like we're probably going to be saying the same thing a couple of months down the line for the next one, because now we're finally finding out, after it's not in theaters anymore, after Bob Iger's not trying to pretend that it's a huge success to convince more people to go, looks like Thunderbolts was actually a flop like we knew all along. In fact, Thunderbolts and Elio were big enough flops to essentially offset the massive success of Lilo and Stitch.
Wow.
Because, Lilo and Stitch made a shit ton of money, $1 billion at the box office. They're live action Lilo and Stitch. But, one big movie doesn't necessarily offset all of the failures that you continue to have, including something like the Thunderbolts. In the latest investor report, Disney cites Thunderbolts and Pixar's Elio as key reasons for a $21 million operating loss in the content sales and licensing division, a steep drop from the $254 million gain or profit that it reported during the same quarter last year. While Lilo and Stitch was also released in the quarter, performed well at the box office, it wasn't enough to offset the losses from Thunderbolts and Elio.
Wow.
And it's really funny to me. And again, it's funny to me because we're hearing almost some of the exact same things about we're excited. We met our benchmark to launch this new franchise in the MCU, and we're looking forward. There's now a sequel that's rumored from the same director. It's funny how those are a lot of the same things we're hearing about Superman and how excited Warner Brothers is for this. It's not being called out quite exactly the same way. Nevertheless, very similar situations for both of them. But yeah, despite all we've successfully launched this franchise, we're really happy to see how people are turning out. Same shit he said about Thunderbolts 3 months ago when he was like, this is a huge important milestone because it shows our commitment to quality over quantity and blah, blah, blah. And then 3 months later, you're having to tell everybody, yeah, we actually lost money on that. Sorry.
Bob Iger he's just a buyer of popular IPs. Like, that's just all he's ever really done for Disney. He sees something that's popular now, and he's like, we need to own that. That's how we'll make money. That's why it's interesting that I guess in a couple years, NFL Red Zone and stuff will be with ESPN. I'm not sure exactly how that worked. Also,
I think that's starting pretty fucking quickly, like maybe even this season. They bought all the NFL Network stuff. The NFL has a 10% stake now in their new streaming thing, which comes with its own problems now, right? Because now if the NFL has an interest in this, what are you going to do about these bad stories about the NFL? Are you going to cover them fairly? All of that stuff, those are all brought into question. But go ahead.
Then also, they're getting rid of Hulu, and it looks like they're absorbing Hulu into Disney Plus. Is that correct as well? There's a lot of
we're going to talk about that specifically later.
Okay, and then they also bought the licensing to air WWE now. So eventually, if you want to watch wrestling, pay-per-views, things like that, it's going to go through Disney because they bought that. I think that's not going to kick in until 2026. I think that one has a couple years left. But that just seems like all throughout while Bob Iger was at Disney, he's like, well, we're losing money. Let's buy Star Wars and we'll make money. Well, we saw how that goes. Well, we're losing money. Let's buy Fox. We can get some Marvel and X-Men and all that stuff. It ain't going well either. Well, we're losing money. Let's buy wrestling. Let's buy the NFL. Let's buy something that people will watch. So it just seems like that's all he knows. And when it comes to like talking about movies and stuff, he probably has like a little talking point. They're like, hey, if they ask you questions about Fantastic Four, just say this. You'll be all set to go.
Well, what are you going to say while it's still in theaters, right? Like it's still in theaters. You're like, Not exactly what we wanted. Don't bother.
All this momentum. I mean, and again, it's just he doesn't. I don't think he's ever built anything besides Disney Plus under his watch, which has been a colossal.
Such a big failure that they're going
Yeah.
to merge it with a profitable streaming service,
Right,
so that
just
they
to
can
make
appear
it work.
profitable. Yeah.
Just to make it work.
Ultimately, one of the reasons that Disney has the ability to do these things are because, unlike the vast majority of other entertainment companies and stuff like that, they have billions of dollars coming in every year from the theme parks, just
Correct.
straight up. You know what I mean? Which does allow you to be like, hey, we're just going to buy the rights to WWE. We're just going to buy this entire NFL-owned network. We're just going to do that. You know what I mean?
Correct.
It allows them to get away with that stuff because they do have so much money coming in.